to you. Have a great show.
Thanks a lot, Marie. I'm David Asman. Stuart is back tomorrow, by the way. Here is the big story. What is our president doing? Seating thugs like Al Sharpton at the table when making executive decisions involving our economy and national security. And he's the smartest guy in the room, so let's throw an answer out there. What if he has given up on governing? What if President Obama has no intention of compromising, even with some moderate Democrats? What if his sole objective for the next 2 years is setting the table for the next 20 years, securing his progressive agenda and his place as director of that agenda? And what does that mean for individuals and businesses trying to plan for the future? Fasten your seatbelts, everybody. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Sharpton has a very checkered history. The famous Tawana Brawley case, which was a terrible miscarriage of justice against a prosecutor. At least he tried to make it such. He's a tax cheat. He's in arrears by huge sums on his taxes, and I think the guy's politically radioactive. And I just don't understand for the life of me why the president would link himself so closely with this guy.
That, of course, was Britt Hume on Special Report last night. Brett Baer is going to join us in a few minutes, but first, Charlie Gasparino is here. Charlie, what's your take on this?
I've known Al Sharpton for a long time. Yeah. I've had cordial relationship with him in terms of him being a source on information. I will say this: he is not radioactive with a sizable amount of the population, a sizable amount of voters in the Democratic Party. He may be radioactive with us. He may be radioactive with conservatives and moderates. He is not radioactive with the liberal base.
But does he deserve a seat at the table, sitting next to the vice president on issues of national security?
Not of national security. Listen, I'm of mixed feelings with Al Sharpton in this sense. Not everything he's done is bad. Okay, now he's done some bad stuff. The Tawana Brawley thing was horrible. There was an incident up in Harlem, Freddie's, a clothing store named Freddie's, where he stood on the corner and called the guy a white interloper. The guy's store got burned down right after that. He does things that
squeezes businesses. According to the New York Times, he's a tax cheat. I mean, there's a long record.
He also raises some necessary issues, I think. And I will just say this. The problem with Al Sharpton, particularly in Ferguson, I'm just going to take him in the context of Ferguson, is that he inflamed a bad situation. He made a situation.
How many times has he done that, though? That's his MO.
You're right. He's done it a lot, and it's hard to look the other way at this point.
So the question is beyond Al Sharpton, obviously. The question is the president himself. Is the president just going to spend the rest of his 2 years focusing on his base, on his progressive base, or will he expand and compromise?
The question becomes, does Al Sharpton deserve a legitimate seat at the table of the progressive left? Is he thrown so much gasoline on the fire so many times that it outweighs some of the good things he's done?
But get beyond
and I will tell you, listen, the president represents the sort of progressive left. I mean, that's what he's all about. Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City. I mean, it was kind of jarring to see Al Sharpton on a podium not too long ago with Bill Bratton, the police chief of New York City. It basically equated the police chief with someone who's a community activist. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was jarring to me. That said, African Americans in this city believe, sizable number of them believe Al Sharpton is a legitimate leader, and you can't discount them.
But the question is whether the president cares more about maintaining his progressive agenda that he's set in place over the past 6 years than he does about transitioning right now with a more moderate Congress.
I agree, and the country has moved so far away from the left in the last election that President Obama may be digging the biggest hole not for himself, because he's elected, he's done in 2 years. He's digging a big hole for Hillary Clinton. How is Hillary Clinton going to sort of come to the middle, which she has to do, particularly in a presidential election, if the Democratic Party is so far to the left?
We're going to be talking about that coming up later. Meanwhile, fireworks on Capitol Hill and the Homeland Security Secretary testifying on the president's executive orders on immigration. Rich Edson is following this for us from inside the Beltway. Rich?
David, Republicans are decrying President Obama's move as unconstitutional. Democrats are defending it, noting House Republicans could have passed their own bill. House Republicans will vote on a government spending bill that would fund the government for the rest of this fiscal year, that's through September, except for immigration-related functions. The Republican plan only funds those activities through some of next year, giving the Republican-controlled Congress next year the opportunity to respond to President Obama's executive order on immigration. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, opposes that.
We've got some Homeland Security priorities that need to be funded now. For example, we're back in a presidential election cycle. I cannot hire new Secret Service agents until I get an appropriations bill passed by this Congress, not another CR for a couple of months.
Congress has until next Thursday to fund the government. That's when spending authority runs out. David.
Rich, thank you very much. Let's check the big